Now, they will be inspired by your story. They will be inspired by the circumstances that you survived and the struggles that you've gone through. But if you don't have that success, right? It's like a rainbow with no pot of gold at the end. Like, there's gotta be something at the end that they're like, okay, this is why I'm following this person. They have something that I want and they can guide me ultimately to that same destination. As you look at your story, there's probably gonna be one major success that people ask you about, or that people are really impressed with, or that people would want to pay for. That should be something that you should want to really circle around and, you know, really consider choosing as your niche. Hey, Courtney Sanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time life and business coach as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats, I do all the things. And also, I am super passionate about helping you turn your life story into a 6 or 7 figure personal brand, which is what I'm gonna be talking about today. How to turn your life story into a lucrative brand. And I thought about this because this is essentially what I do. You know, sometimes it's difficult for me to explain what I do to people who aren't in this world, who aren't into personal development, business coaching, the online space, you know, namely my parents, right? They're always like, how do I introduce you to my friend? I was telling my friend at work about you and she was saying, what do you do? And I was like, well, my daughter, she like makes content and helps people with their business, but then she also helps them with their life, you know. My parents of a generation, they're like, what is this social media thing? They don't always get it. And so I was thinking about like, what could I summarize this as in a way for people that would understand it, even if they're not necessarily familiar with the personal branding or the coaching or whatever world. And I essentially would just say that it's all about turning your life story into a lucrative personal brand. In fact, that's why I'm so passionate about letting people know that this is something you can do even if you don't have a coaching certification. And for the record, I am not against coaching certifications. I think they're great. I may get one day. I may offer one day. I have nothing against them, but I just need people to understand that whether you have a coaching certification or not, you still need a life story, and particularly you need a success story that your clients are going to be coming to you for. You need something that you achieved, something that you succeeded at, that you can say, I am the role model for this. I can demonstrate the way on how to do that. And so I'm really passionate about helping people convert that into a 6 and even 7 figure personal brand, because it's one of the easiest ways to get into entrepreneurship. And everybody's got a story to tell, and everybody's got a success story. I think about people who get into entrepreneurship, especially before the internet was a thing, and they had to go to banks and get these like bank loans or have investors invest in their business. They had to get supplies and equipment and get a brick and mortar space. And now we don't have to do any of that. Literally, if you have a success story, something that you've achieved, you can turn it into a 6 or 7 figure brand. And I am proof of that. So if that sounds amazing to you, if this is like, oh, the video you've been waiting for, because you're like, yes, this is what I feel like I've been trying to do for the last several years. You know, how do I turn my story into a lucrative personal brand? We're gonna get into that right now. Okay, the first thing you need to do when it comes to turning your life story into a lucrative personal brand is that you need to actually find the story. And I talk about this in depth in my video about how to become a women's empowerment coach, which you can see right here. But I always say that most people think they're telling their story, but they're not. They're actually telling their circumstances. Your story is not your story until you write it. So you need to look at your circumstances and you need to decide, what is the story within this? What is the narrative, right? Oftentimes we just tell what happened to us. Like, that's not a story. Those are just the facts. But you want to look at everything that happened to you, all of your circumstances, and you want to be the one to give it meaning and say, this is what I believe this means. This is why all of this happened. This is how I'm steering my own story, right? Because you're the writer or the author of your story, but you're also the director. You can choose new scenes. You can choose to create new scenes in the movie of your life. So you really got to sit down and say, okay, this is my life story, or these are my life circumstances, but what is the story within this? What is it that people can really connect to? And what is the narrative that I am on? What is this journey that I am on? What is this really all about? Once you get clear on that, that's going to make it a lot easier for you to create a lucrative personal brand. All right, once you find your story, the second thing you need to do is you need to start sharing your success. So a lot of people, struggle in this space when they're trying to create personal brands or trying to create coaching businesses, because again, they talk about those circumstances, particularly a lot of the struggles that they faced in the past, but they don't talk about the success that they have achieved as a result of their story. So even once you find the story and the narrative that connects all the different things that happened to you, it is so important that you have a success that you can hang your hat on. There's got to be something notable that you've done, something that you've achieved that other people also want to achieve, because that's ultimately what they're going to pay you for. Now, they will be inspired by your story. They will be inspired by the circumstances that you survived and the struggles that you've gone through. But if you don't have that success, right? It's like a rainbow with no pot of gold at the end. Like, there's got to be something at the end that they're like, okay, this is why I'm following this person. They have something that I want, and they can guide me ultimately to that same destination. When you don't have a success to share, it's kind of like saying, okay, all this stuff happened to me and this is my story, but there's no ending, because the ending is still being written. Even if I would believe that your ending is always being written, I know my ending is always being written, because there's always new things that I am looking to achieve, and the journey continues. At any given part of your story, there's got to be an end point that people are like, okay, I want to get there. She was able to get there, I want to get there too. And I'm listening to her story about how she got there, and so I want to work with her because I believe she can carry me there as well. So really dig deep and think about, what are the successes that you have? Often this is difficult for us because we discount our successes. We think, they're no big deal and anybody can do it, because maybe we did it relatively easy, but you did it easy because it's a part of your gifting and it's a part of your talent, not because it's something that everybody can do. So if you're not sure, make sure you ask your family and friends, what are some successes that you have that they're like really impressed by and that they would pay to learn more about? And those are great starts for how you can build your practice or your coaching business or your personal brand. All right, the third thing you need to do if you want to turn your life story into a lucrative personal brand is you gotta narrow that niche, at least in the beginning. And I say this because many people who want to create a motivational personal brand, they want to get into empowerment work, they see a lot of people who operate in this space who are at the, I don't want to say the end of their careers, but who have already kind of hit the pinnacle of their career, right? So your Tony Robbins, your Oprah, your Lisa Nichols, your Ayala Van Zandt, these people who have hit their stride and have been operating at a high level for a very long time, they now have a very broad niche where they can speak to a variety of different subjects. They can talk about money, they can talk about relationships, they can talk about business, they can talk about personal development, but they don't start there. And so it's so important that when you're just getting started that you narrow your niche. And this honestly should be easy to do, because as you look at your story, there's probably going to be one major success that people ask you about, or that people are really impressed with, or that people would want to pay for. That should be something that you should want to really circle around and, really consider choosing as your niche. And over time, as you achieve more success in that arena, you will start to attract people outside of that niche, and your niche will get broader and broader. Also, you will start to do other things outside of the arena that you've achieved, because it serves as a stepping stone. So I know for me, my initial niche was in the area of self-discipline, and I focused all of my content and all of my offers on this area of self-discipline and personal development and life coaching. But as I grew more successful in that arena and I was able to get people more results, I started to find success in the business arena as well, and that grew my niche out from there. So you gotta start small. Don't be afraid to go narrow, because once you go narrow with your niche, then you can go wide. And if going narrow with your niche is something that you struggle with, I invite you to my free 5-day Nail Your Niche Challenge. This is a free live challenge. Really is an experiment, because I'm not sure how long I'm gonna be doing this, if I'm gonna be able to do it in the future, or if I'm going to continue doing it for free. But as of this recording, it is. So if you want my help over 5 days in nailing your niche so that you can build this lucrative personal brand, click the link below to register. Spots are legitimately limited. I do limit them because I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to get all the feedback they need, especially because I create an opportunity for people to upgrade and get direct feedback. So once we run out of spots, the page turns over to a wait list, and then you'll have to wait until the next time we open it, if we open it at all. So if you click the link below and see spots are available, go ahead and register now. All right, I have more where that came from, but first I want to hear from you. Do you have a good life story? Go ahead and share in the comments below. All right, the fourth thing you need to do if you want to turn your life story into a lucrative personal brand is that you have to build a brand, right? You have to build a brand around it. So you want to build a brand around your life story. You want to have, your visuals match really what you stand for and what your personality is and who you are. But even when you think about your content or the way you show up online, all of these different aspects are a part of your brand. And so you want to make sure that all of it is congruent ultimately with the journey that you're on and the message that you want to get out to your audience and the things that you want to be known for. So you can build a brand right from the beginning. It does not have to be perfect. It should be, your best. That's what I always say. It should definitely be your best. So don't just slap something together. But with all the tools that are available online, there's really no reason anymore not to have a brand that isn't powerful and that doesn't connect with your audience. It's just too easy to do. So make sure that you are taking the time to develop that brand. I say your brand is both your style and your substance. So it's the way it looks on the outside, but it is the content that you are providing on the inside. Make sure both of them are up to par and start developing them. And again, do so in alignment with your life story, because that is what ultimately your personal brand is going to be about. All right, the fifth thing you need to do if you want to turn your life story into a lucrative personal brand is that you need to sell the solution. So again, this is why it's so important, why I said you need to really find the story within your life story, not just those circumstances. And you need to identify the successes that you've achieved, because once you identify the successes you've achieved and the story that led there, you can start to ask yourself, how did I achieve these things? And what would be the solution that I could offer to someone who is on the same journey? Whatever your answer is to that question, what would be the solution? That is ultimately what you should sell, and you can sell it in a variety of different platforms. And so when you're thinking about building your personal brand, you can get really creative with this. Obviously, you can come up with coaching programs, courses, books, tried and true things like that, but you could even think about offering planners. You could offer retreats. I actually just came back from a retreat in Turks and Caicos, which was really amazing, and I'm working on my own retreat to an undisclosed location that I will be announcing very soon. So make sure that you are following me on social media, particularly Instagram, and that you are on my email list if you want to get the first notification about where we're going, but somewhere amazing and international. So you'll just have to stay in tune for that. But that's what I'm saying. You can be very creative in the things that you offer. Maybe you want to offer merchandise. Maybe you want to offer clothing, coffee mugs, homewares, all these things that are representative of your life story and your success. You want to sell the solution. So ask yourself, what would someone need, or what are some tools that I can provide them to help them get to the end result ultimately that I've gotten to? Again, it might come in the form of a coaching program, but it might come in the form of a planner. The sky is really the limit. This is really the fun part. But whatever you do, however you brand it, make sure that you are selling it as a solution to the end result ultimately that your story represents. All right, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I know you're gonna love my free 5-day Nail Your Niche challenge. Make sure to click the link below to register right now while spots are still available to learn how to nail your niche in just 5 days live with me. All right, if you can't wait until my next video, make sure you're subscribed to my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show, on both iTunes and Spotify. And if you can't wait for my next video or my next podcast, make sure you're following me on Instagram. It's CourtneyLSanders. I only have one account, so if you see spam accounts with other crazy names or misspellings of my name, know that it's not me. It's just CourtneyLSanders. Go and follow me there, where you can get the behind the scenes of my life as well as more tips just like this. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.